Together we'll see who dies and survives, circled around a sacred fire, strumming along with our favorite lyre. Adventure called the quest awaits, your destiny's in the hands of the fates. But never fear, we're all friends here, we'll have your back when danger's near. Come with us through the pages as we unravel a tale for the ages into the Percy-Verse.
Hello and welcome to the Percy-Verse podcast. I'm Alisa.
And I'm Anna. Take in the smell of strawberry fields and the sounds of YMCA, because today we're reading chapter 20. The Fleece works its magic too well. In this chapter, Grover finally gets his due, Tyson has a sweet new internship, and Percy gets the biggest shock of his life since finding out he was a demigod.
Good pun, shock. You know,
Shock?
with
100% intentional, as are all my puns. Every single time. Yes. We've been, anticipating this chapter since chapter 1, I feel like.
I know. Yes.
Yes.
I
was, opening the book, and I was like, oh my god, we're finally here.
I know.
Oh my gods, I should say.
Yes, true.
Yeah,
plural. To recognize the plural, the many.
The many. The pantheon. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Percy is having, a strangely amazing time at camp.
Yeah.
I think it's, everyone is the happiest, everything is going the best, and it can only work that way because something big is coming.
Yep.
And he even starts out by saying that maybe it goes to show that you never know when, your world is going to be rocked to pieces, which I do feel like this brought up something for me personally where, I'm trying to trust good things in life,
Yeah.
And I do think that it's, good to trust good things and not, good things mean something terrible is coming around the corner.
Yes.
And I think as a demigod, it's that's always true, potentially.
Yeah.
And it was very relatable, growing up as a feeling. I
Totally.
think it's a very relatable feeling and very understandable feeling. And personally, as an adult, I'm trying to trust that, good things can be good things without bad things coming. So that was my thought there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And also one of the things that I've had been working on as an adult is that that the bad things don't outweigh or cancel out the good things.
They don't negate them.
A big thing for me is being able to hold two things, the adage, two things can be true at the same time.
Yes.
It's sitting in the nuance and the complexity of life and the reality of the world that we live in, and not taking, if something bad or stressful happens in my life, not having it then frame or paint a whole huge swath of time as well, that was just terrible, and it's well, many things happened.
yes, on the spectrum of good and bad.
Yes.
And some things are a mixture of both.
Totally.
And I love that you said paint, because one thing that my past therapist said that I really liked one time was when I was focusing too much in on a bad thing, was imagine that your whole life is a painting on a canvas.
Yeah.
And what would it be to zoom out from this spot we're focused on and take the whole thing in, and what other colors and images things are on there.
Yeah.
And I always really like that as a good metaphor for that zooming out.
Totally.
Experience.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we're spending time in the good here. Grover is gonna hang for the rest of the summer.
Yeah,
and around. It's so funny because we're about to experience you cannot have Grover and Tyson at the same time for very long.
I know.
In these books, it's just not a thing. They're not allowed to coexist too much at the same time.
No.
But the Council of Cloven Elders, which we have discussed before, the good and bad of them. They are very impressed about Grover, and something that maybe is an underrated thing that we haven't really focused on is that in the search for Pan, Grover has just made the biggest discovery in 2,000 years, which is that the place that all the satyrs were getting drawn to was a trap and was not where Pan is. And that paves the way for Grover in a couple books to actually find Pan too.
Yes.
So I feel I don't know. I was reading this. I was like, we have not given that its due. I think like the importance of what happened, because there's so many other moving pieces while we're on the island.
Yes. Yeah, no, but it's massive. It's a huge victory for Grover and therefore like the satyrs as a whole, because he removed what has been the biggest obstacle for them for the past 2,000 years. I'm realizing now that in the quest that Grover goes on, he discovers all of the traps, but because he has friends, it's like that's how he's saved. Because I was remember back to the first book, with Medusa, and he sees like his uncle Ferdinand, and realizes that like, oh, this would have been a bit of a trap, on the way, like smaller than Polyphemus, but still. And like they defeat that, but like collectively together, because most satyrs, like this is a solo endeavor. I'm assuming most do not have an empathy link with the demigod who's their best friend, who is willing to move. Yes. But, who's willing to move like heaven and earth to save them.
Yes.
And so I do think, I kind of love that we track like Grover's quests and his successes without that even being like the primary point of any of the books.
Yeah.
But he makes forward movement. Like we'll get more in the next book, when
absolutely
in New Mexico,
Cloudcroft.
I know, which we've both been to, which is so fun. But yeah, and I love one of the things that this conversation right now is making me realize is one of the things that I love so much about these books is that like all of the success happens like in community. It's because of friends and a loving, caring community of people.
Teamwork
that like these successes in all of these books happen, and I think that's so lovely. It's never like they're heroes, but it's never one person by themselves doing it. It's always because they have at least one other person or multiple other people with them that like they win in the end.
And Camp Half-Blood like has this tradition of quests being undertaken by 3 people. Mm-hmm. But I think, like you said, satyrs are often seeking on their own, like searching on their own. And I think we see, the pitfalls of that and then the strengths of having those connections. I think that's really beautiful. And I think we said that the theme of this book is there's no I in team. Yeah. So that speaks to what, you're talking about. And that'll continue to be a theme throughout all of the books. Which again goes to like, you're not the only hero kind of thing. We've been talking about that a lot in this book as well.
Yeah. In the ways that like these books are like adapting and, kind of taking and reinterpreting Greek mythology, like all of the heroes in Greek mythology was like one hero, and it's a lot of lone stories. Or even if you do have something like Jason and the Argonauts, it's still like pretty much just Jason, in terms of like the recognition and like who's classified as like the hero of it. And so I love that this like modern interpretation and adaptation of these myths and heroes really is the plural rather than the singular.
Yeah, we want to see the boy band, not the solo artist. Like,
exactly.
That's how you succeed.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So in addition to just being really impressed with him, or because of that, they give him 2 months to just hang out, which is nice. So it's interesting. They somehow like determine his schedule a little bit as a searcher, which is really interesting. And a new set of reed pipes. Hence the intro, because he's really into YMCA right now. That's like, it's not even like we get 2 songs. Like last time it was like he knew 2 songs. Now it's like there's the one song.
Oh, and it's on a loop.
Which question for us to think about is like, does Grover have ADHD or any kind of neurodivergence? And partly I asked that because one of the things can be like listening to the same song over and over again. So it's making me wonder. I have questions. But the strawberry plants are kind of going wild in response to the song. They're not really clear if they like it.
Well, I mean, Percy describes it as them wrapping around their feet like they're trying to strangle them. So the vibe from the plants
Like they're like, help me.
Yeah. Get me out.
That does seem to be what's happening. And then Grover tells Percy, I forgot this. Same. I have to admit, I forgot this.
Yeah.
As many times as we've read these books, Grover offers to dissolve the empathy link with Percy, which would break that triangulation that we were kind of describing between Percy, Grover, and Annabeth, that like they all have to like keep each other alive at all times. So Percy like says no. Percy's like, I always want to have your back, always. And Grover's like, you could die. Like, if I die, you die, dude. Yes. And Percy's just like, I want to know about it. I would want to help you. I wouldn't have it any other way. And Grover agrees. And I'm just like, what a sign of friendship.
I know.
And, like, unbelievable. And also, like, wow, Percy. That is wild. Like, as two people that will be in a lot of danger, that is really intense. And also, doesn't that mean if Percy dies, Grover dies? Too?
I think it works both ways. Gosh.
Like, doesn't it work both ways? So it is interesting, like, as a demigod, for him to be like, I know that I literally have, like, the Titan Lord trying to kill me, but I'd love to stay, like, linked with you in a way that if that happened, you would die too.
Yeah.
And they can't even, like, hang out in the underworld later because Grover would become a plant.
Right.
So, anyway, that was a thing I did not remember. That is wild.
No, I know, same. I did not. And I think it's so sweet, and I really shows the depth of their friendship and like how much like Percy loves Grover, and it is affirming that they're literal ride or dies for each other.
Absolutely. Literal ride or dies. This has to be the chapter with the most number of little hearts that I drew on it.
Yeah,
and fully. And I just felt like as I was ending it, this is the most sweet, wholesome chapter that we've read in 2 books, I think. Like, it's just full of sweet and wholesome moments. I want to know in the comments if anyone would intentionally keep an empathy link with another person, and if so, who that person would be.
Yeah, that's a good question. Would you?
I feel like my risk aversion is kicking in, where I'm like, I don't know, that sounds... I also feel like I've worked a lot to differentiate from, like, enmeshed family systems.
Yes.
So that makes me feel a little bit like maybe some of my aversion is to that.
Totally. Yeah.
So I don't know that I would.
Yeah.
Not that I could never see myself, like, putting myself in harm's way for another person.
Sure.
That's, like, maybe a different question.
Yeah.
But I don't know about an empathy link.
To be, like, that tuned in to, like, a literal, like, radio frequency.
Yeah.
I think, like, so I'm currently rewatching the CW Supergirl TV show. And I was like, I think if I had, like, powers, or even, like, the way that Alex Danvers is just, like, a very, you know, she's, like, Black Widow-esque in that she's, like, a regular person, but is, like, highly skilled. I feel like I would, because I would feel like, oh, yes, I could be called upon. But, like, I don't necessarily feel
like... Are you
like...
capable of doing something about it?
It's like Percy's capable. I don't feel like presently...
Yeah. You're like, what would I do, though?
I'm like, I could call other, like, I could get, like, emergency services, you know? If you couldn't do that, I could do that for you. But, like, you know, I'm not a demigod. Like, like, my brain goes to that, of, like...
That's a good point.
What would I be capable of doing? And I think if I were capable of doing a lot, I'd be like, sure. Because I'd have confidence, and, like, I'd want to know I could come in, you know? Because it kind of feels like a different way of... Obviously, Supergirl's super hearing doesn't come with, like, and the other person will die.
Right.
Or she will die.
But yeah, being like attuned to. Also, if you had superpowers, you're probably harder to kill too, which is
exactly
nice. So
yeah.
So, I think that's a good point, because there's a layer of like how helpful am I really in a life or death situation?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
Good
if
point.
I put myself like in Percy's shoes, I have Percy's ability, and like
Totally.
my best friend in the whole world is going to embark again on a solo quest that I like
Yes.
had to
Yeah,
save
you
him
want to know that
from.
he's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I think that makes sense. Well, let us know in the comment section. Either if like you would now, or if like Alisa, you are thinking about like what you would like to have powers to then do it with.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
I have a quick question of, I don't know, sometimes my brain, like, I'll read a sentence incorrectly, so I think the sentence is wrong, but other times, like, there are typos. I wanted to ask you if your book also says, it's at the end of the paragraph on page 270, the first chapter, or first page of this chapter, where it's like, Grover told me, blah, blah, blah. And it says, but I told him I'd just assume keep it if that was okay with him. It says assume.
Oh my god, I missed that. No, it should be as soon.
Right?
Yeah.
It should be just as
Good
soon
catch.
keep it.
I
Not just
literally
assume
just
keep
like
it.
read past it.
I read it multiple times and I literally
I, like,
circled it
fixed
and I
in
was
my
like,
brain.
I
you're
cannot
right.
be like misreading this sentence that it should be as soon rather
No.
than assume.
No, it should be as soon.
But sometimes I'll read sentences like in the incorrect cadence and then
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. I don't know if that makes
Well,
that
also like
makes sense,
sometimes
but-
there's words that I just like thought were something else, right?
Totally. Yes.
What's the one I have about cows? Never mind, I'll think of it. But yeah, I sometimes have the wrong. It's just an idiom. Like I sometimes have the wrong phrase in my head. You know that I've learned it wrong. Like I used to think that grain of salt was grand assault when I was
I didn't
growing
know
up.
that.
It's a really weird one, but like
That's
when
so
I was
funny.
younger and I hadn't seen it written out and no one explained it to me,
Yeah.
I thought it was like take it with a grand assault. Which just feels like the opposite meaning when it actually is.
Take it
But
with
there's
a
just-
full force army,
The full weight.
a battalion.
Yeah. So there's just like some things. Oh,
Are you
I
thinking
know
of like
the one.
moo point or moot
I'm thinking of
point?
moo point. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a moo point versus moot
Yeah.
point. That's the
Yeah,
cow one
yeah.
that I had. So like I don't know, there's things like that, but I don't think there's any way that you would assume keep it.
Yeah.
I think you would just as soon keep it. So
Yeah.
yes, good catch. I think we have at least one per book at this point.
Yeah, which hey, I always find very fun and delightful. I think
Yes.
like, you know, perpetually working on my perfectionism. It's like fun and
Yes.
reassuring to like find little things like that.
To be like, this is not the original run, like printing, and or cover or anything. And there's
like
still a
we're
thing
all
in here.
human, you
And
know.
it's fine. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it Percy and Grover and this lovely interaction with Grover playing another rendition of YMCA and
'Cause why not?
Percy making a joke about like he doesn't need an empathy link with the plants to know how they're feeling about YMCA part 2. The encore. And then Percy later on in the day is in archery class when Chiron pulls him aside and kind of feels like waves a magic wand, or did, and tells him that he fixed the legal problems.
It was not the demigod that
Right.
I thought it was.
Literally. It feels very force-like what Chiron says he did. But basically, the school, Meriwether Prep, had blamed Percy for destroying their gym. The police had been looking for him. This is now, we're on book number 2, police looking for Percy.
He just like always has a bulletin out.
Yeah,
That's
you
just
know
what it
he's
is.
always got an APB out for Percy
Yep.
Jackson, a literal child. And when Percy asks Chiron how he like managed to do that, Chiron explains that he suggested that they had seen something different on the day, and tells him that Chiron manipulated the mist, and he tells Percy that someday when you're ready, that he'll show Percy how it's done.
Yeah.
2 things. 1, I also kind of forgot that Chiron can manipulate the mist. I don't know if you remembered this, but this was like the second thing from this chapter that I'd forgotten, like with the empathy thing as well.
I don't know that I forgot it. I like in my mind, if you asked me, I would have said yes, he can.
Sure.
But I didn't remember that he specifically did something this big.
Yeah.
This I did not remember.
But it really makes me want to pay much closer attention once we get to Heroes of Olympus And I know that they're like, most of the mist manipulation and learning of that happens not at Camp Half-Blood, but like, is Chiron talking involved? Because I don't know. I was trying to remember if that
comes around in this series at all. That's what I was trying to remember. Because I don't remember Percy doing a big thing with it, but it did make me very excited for Hazel.
Oh yeah.
It made me very excited for Hazel.
Oh yeah. I'm always excited for Hazel.
Oh, same. But like, with the mist is a particularly fun part of it. So,
yes, it's so fun.
So that was quite exciting. But yeah, I didn't remember this specific thing. Honestly, like, however they set it up at the beginning, I wasn't personally that worried about Merryweather Prep, and I'm never assuming she's going to go back to the same school.
Right.
So I thought it was kind of a funny thing of like, the author's like, well, I got to tie up all the loose ends.
Right.
So here you go.
Yes.
This is what happened. Chiron took care of it. Don't worry.
Yeah. Especially reading this book one chapter at a time. The stuff from Merryweather Prep, I was like, that's years ago. I was like,
I was wearing like sweaters and jackets. So it's fine.
And Percy asks if it means that he can go back, but Chiron is like, no, basically, I just solved the legal trouble. Right. You're no longer like a wanted individual, but
you are for sure expelled.
Yeah. You are definitively expelled. The headmaster, Mr. Bonsai, said that Percy had an ungroovy karma that disrupted the school's educational aura. So
this was a beanbag school, for anyone who's not remembering.
Yes.
This was the hippie beanbag school, and I did appreciate, at least in this tying up, that it wasn't like, yes, it's magically fixed and everything is fine. Mm-hmm. It was just like, you will not be arrested, right? You are for sure expelled.
Yes. Yeah. And then Chiron gives Percy a cell phone that he takes from his quiver and tells him that it is high time that he called his mother.
Which is a big deal. You don't see a lot of cell phone usage at camp, or phone usage of any kind. I'm almost surprised. I think they're feeling more secure now with the Fleece in place.
Yes.
I was thinking.
Yeah. And so then we get this lovely little Percy-Sally moment and interaction, and she starts off with, I love the train of dialogue that's like
it's fun.
All dashes. That's just, Percy Jackson, what were you thinking? Do you have any idea how worried I was sneaking up to camp without permission, going on dangerous quests, scaring me half to death? Part. So it's like, I love that with the dashes, because it makes it very like run on and
very well read.
Yeah, thank you. But she ultimately is just incredibly relieved that Percy is safe, of course. And Percy's like, that's the great thing about my mom. She's not good at being angry.
I love that. That's such a good quality in a parent.
It really is. An inability to maintain anger as a parent in like a healthy way, obviously not you're, I don't know, suppressing every emotion.
This is more like, love always is so strong that you can't stay that angry.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a good time to remind people that we are and always will be a Silly Jackson Stan account.
Oh, yes, first and foremost.
Yeah, for the people who are just starting at the last chapter of book 2.
Yes, if you're just joining
those audience members. Yeah, just so you know. Ride or die for Sally Jackson.
Oh, yes. And Percy he tells Sally, I won't scare you again. And I love her response is she tells him, don't promise me that. Like, it will only get worse. And Percy, it causes him to reflect for a moment of being like, I want to say something like reassuring that make her feel better, but he's also is like, yeah, she's right. Like, I am a half-blood. My life is dangerous, and as I get older, it will just only get more dangerous, realistically.
Well, and I love here, like, he can hear that she's shaken up, and it's like the other great thing that she does as an emotionally mature parent is that she's not trying to hide her feelings from him. Like, she is expressing her worry and her fear and her concern, but she's also, like, being very practical about the situation, and she's being, like, she's living in reality, and then what she's about to do is, like, not be too precious with him still.
Yes.
Like also still give him his autonomy, even though she's scared, and also not be afraid to be like, I'm scared. And I think that's just such a great living in lots of grays that's like so healthy. for this relationship.
Absolutely. And like in expressing her emotions, she never makes it his responsibility to ease or process her emotions for her or like handle them for her. Yeah. Like it is a very, very healthy display of like as a parent being able to do that, and it's wonderful. One of the many reasons why we love Sally Jackson also very much. Yeah. And he does offer to like come home for a little bit. I think that's Percy's kind of like, I was just gone, I did this dangerous thing, you know, like
but also like I read that as him like he does want to take care of her emotions. Yes. And I'm thinking about their history of like being with this abusive man, that like they tiptoed close to this like unhealthy relationship a couple times because of that relationship that they are now freed from. I feel like he still has this protective urge, but she never lets him become parentified, which is exactly like, huge.
Yeah. And her immediate response is to tell him to no, stay at camp, train, but she does ask that like he will be coming home for school next year, and he's like, absolutely. And this is, I think, one of my favorite things, like, in terms of, like, I love that she says this, because he's like, if there's any school that will take me. And I love this, that she says, we'll find someplace where they don't know us yet. And I loved that she said us, because the difference of saying someplace where they don't know you yet versus someplace where they don't know us yet, like, she is that framing. I just circled that and I was like, that's so huge, because she is making it like they are a team together. This is something
back to the teamwork.
Yeah, versus like he's the problem, he's getting expelled somewhere that doesn't know of him yet. Exactly. She's like making them both the like known entities rather than like, oh, it's just you, Percy, being the one getting expelled.
Right. That's huge.
I just love that so much. She's a perfect mom.
I mean,
no, there's no perfection. There's no perfection.
But yes, there's lots of hearts on my page, you know, and I think like we've kind of already gone through why it's just a beautiful exchange. Like hashtag goals. She's hashtag mom goals. Yeah,
she is. Yes,
that's what we could say. So then, because we're kind of like going through Percy's like family and chosen family, like we've talked about Grover, now we're talking about Sally, now it's time to talk about Tyson. So everybody kind of gets a turn. Tyson is being treated like a hero, so this is kind of in a way similar to how like Percy was at, you know, not very cool when he first came to Camp Half-Blood, and then by the end of the Lightning Thief, everyone's like, woo, hero. So Tyson kind of went through a similar arc in this book, and as we've discussed, was extremely pivotal to the entire quest, and they would not have survived many things without him, and so, very well deserved. And Percy is, like, thinking about how, like, finally now he's like, oh, I would have been happy to have him as a cabin mate forever, but then we hear some updates from Tyson, and I will say that by the end of this section, and I'm sure you too, we don't apologize. Percy has still never apologized. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't think he ever does, but you like thinking of apologizing to someone is just not the same as actually apologizing. That's all I have to say about this. Okay. So, also, that being said,
I couldn't help but be really curious about the like alternate world where Tyson is not yet accepted as a hero, but Percy's gone on this journey, like where Percy would be at if Camp was still feeling very contentious towards Tyson. But
if he'd be so like, I'd love to have him as a cabin mate forever.
I
do think there's like a genuine like relationship, friendship, family, familial bond forming. But it is easier to accept Tyson when everyone else is accepting him. That's a good point.
I think especially because, like, in the beginning, he, like, Percy's inner monologue emphasized so much about
other people's reactions.
Exactly. That I just couldn't, that I felt like, not that Percy would still be, like, rejecting Tyson, but that I feel like there could still be some tension. Yeah, he might
struggle with it more.
It wouldn't be so,
like... he's about to struggle a little bit.
He is. Yes, he is.
Yeah. So it's not all gone, for sure. I think you're right. So Tyson explained that he had a dream from Poseidon. And that Poseidon has sent a message for Tyson to go underwater for the rest of the summer to learn to work in the Cyclopes forges, which is a huge deal.
Huge.
And that he called it an internship. Which I just think is so, the idea that like a god would call something so mundane as like an internship. I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
And Percy feels jealous. He feels a little jealous. Poseidon never invited him to go underwater. Yeah. And then he's like, wait, Tyson's just gonna leave? Just like that? I finally like the guy.
Right.
We're finally friends.
Yeah.
And he's like, this part's so funny. He's like, when would you leave? And Tyson's like, now.
I know.
And then Percy's like, now? Like, now? Like, right this second?
He's like,
and
Tyson just walk into the water.
Now. Like, oh my goodness. So it's kind of like very sudden. This is happening very quickly.
I have a like world logistic question.
Tell me, I love those.
Regarding this. So, from our understanding, pretty much any like little Cyclops baby is kind of left alone to fend for themselves and survive. But we do have a forge where many a Cyclops goes to work underwater, but they're not raised there. So it's like Poseidon sending, just like once they reach a certain level of maturity, is Poseidon just like sending dreams out to all of his Cyclops children, being like, now come underwater and join me. Like, how...
Yeah, how is this
I just want to understand how that works.
Okay, but there's also Cyclopes. Are they the same? The ones who like are in Michigan, for example, in the factory, and the ones that Annabeth encountered, like, are those also sons of Poseidon?
All Cyclopses are children of Poseidon, is my understanding.
Because like there's like the mom one. There's a mom Cyclops in the factory.
Right.
So I'm just wondering if like there are different ways. I'm curious, like if they do all have to be Poseidon with
or could like two
spirit?
Cyclopses come together, have a baby,
two
raise the baby,
Cyclopes love each other very much, etc. Like could that happen?
And maybe that
And those are the ones that end up like maybe those Cyclopes end up in the factory and like those kinds of places, because like they have a mom who's a Cyclops in that one,
right? Yeah.
In which case,
I'm wondering, is it because are you talking about with Jason?
Yes, I am. And Piper.
Are they a Cyclops or are they giants?
Well, they changed their voices.
In the factory? Okay, yes. Okay, yes.
I'm pretty sure.
In that series, they encounter so many large entities and beings.
Yeah, they do.
I know, but I think I'm mixing up the giants that they encounter later on.
Okay.
I think. Because, yes, they do change.
They encounter a lot of giants because it's literally like we're facing the giants because of Gaia, or Gia, or whatever we're going to end up calling her.
Gaia.
But or Gaia, as you like to say. That's going to be a lot of fun. She's in every single chapter. But I think that they're Cyclopes. I could be wrong. But anyway, this might be look-upable. It might not be. But I think that, like, I'm wondering if there are maybe different ways for a Cyclops baby to happen, like to be born. Yeah. And then I'm wondering if the ones that are actually Poseidon is their direct father. If yes, maybe at some point he sends them a message and he's like, hey, come work with me, like here's the address underwater.
Right. I'm just so curious, about just that whole process,
that's fair.
How that
I also
works.
can't remember if all of them can breathe underwater, like when we do go down to Poseidon's area. I can't remember if like it's like in Star Wars Episode 1 where like you're going in and there's a bubble and then you go in the bubble.
Sure. Right.
Or if they're all just breathing underwater. So I'm curious. I have a lot of curiosities to pay more attention when we get to Poseidon's domain.
It is also interesting if all the ones invited down are directly fathered by him, because then with his wife and son, he would be like, and the forges have all of among of my many illegitimate children.
Very possible.
Like That's
awkward.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Kind of for everyone.
Yeah, agreed.
All parties involved.
Agreed. But I just, like, kind of can't imagine the ones that we meet. I think it's Michigan, right? Detroit. I'm pretty sure it's Detroit.
I think.
The ones that we meet in Detroit, like, I can't imagine them, like, getting in line and, like, working for someone else. You know, like, they just seem really autonomous. So that's why I'm wondering if there is a distinction there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tyson is going now.
Right now.
Like, this second, right now. It is pretty intense. And we get our first, I believe, description of our sunset, which is kind of relevant to, like, the aura and the vibe of what's going to happen next. I noticed sort of how this is described later. So Percy's staring out at the waves of Long Island Sound, where they are. So they're, like, right at the water. And it is glistening red in the sunset right now. And that's, like, going to set the tone for what's happening next. But Percy is able to, I think, like, half-heartedly in a way, say, like, I think he believes this, but he's also jealous. Like, it's both.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm happy for you, big guy, seriously. I think the need to add seriously is, like, him reassuring himself that he actually is happy for Tyson, you know?
Yeah.
But Tyson is sad. Tyson's always on the verge of crying, I feel like. Just for one thing or another.
For being, like, really happy or being really sad or...
Yeah, I love it. The tears flow freely with this guy. So he says it's hard to leave his new brother, but that he really wants to make things. And I love that Tyson's getting to, like, go pursue his passion.
Yeah.
He is going to make weapons for camp, and he says you will need them. And so he's kind of acknowledging... You know, Percy thinks about how the Fleece hasn't solved all the problems.
Yeah.
That Luke is still out there. I mean, Percy just, like, almost got killed by Luke, straight up.
Yes.
Just, like, 2 chapters ago, very recently.
Yeah.
The Princess Andromeda is still out there, and Kronos is still reforming in the Golden Coffin, and it's like this, we're gonna have one or more showdowns ahead of us, and yes, we will need weapons, and things are not okay.
This part felt to me like Tyson saying that, like, this was his way of contributing.
Absolutely.
You know, like, Percy's questing and whatnot, but his way of contributing, like, to this fight, to the ultimate safety of Camp Half-Blood, and therefore his brother, like, is to go make the weapons.
And I think it reinforces that, like, at the beginning, I think Percy treats Tyson a bit like he doesn't have a grasp on things. And this is reinforcing Tyson is, like, keeping up with everything that's happened on this quest. Like, he understands the larger context. He understands the threat. And, he wants to contribute. And I think Percy gets a little more genuine here. And he's like, you'll make the best weapons ever. And then he holds his watch up proudly and says, I bet they'll tell good time, too. Which is, like, so funny. It feels like a after-school special or something, you know? And then the audience laughs, you know, the studio audience. And this is where I just wrote apologize in all caps with a bunch of exclamation marks. Because I was just like, it's here. You know, he's leaving. Like, this is the moment, you know?
It really is. It really, really is.
Like, hey, listen, I'm sorry for, just like we said before, you know? Because then Tyson even says brothers help each other.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, I think that if we were, like, 2 cishet guys, we'd be like, this is how guys apologize to each other. Because Percy says, you're my brother, no doubt about it.
Right.
And when I read that, I was like, I could hear someone else being like, that's the apology. And I'm over here like, that is not an apology.
No. An apology,
it's just not.
At truly bare minimum, needs to include the words, I'm sorry. Or I apologize.
Yes.
You can pick whichever one you prefer.
It should include an empathetic statement about how you hurt the other person. And then from there, it should include a plan to never do it again.
Exactly. Right.
Apologies are actually 3 steps.
They are.
We've done 0. But, you know, we've done the, like, I've said the opposite of what I used to say. So that means it's fine.
So we've canceled it out. We're good.
Yes.
We can move forward.
Exactly.
Everything's fine. We're good. Yeah.
Yep. So I could hear the person out there being like, that is the apology.
Right. No, it's not.
No. So then he pats Percy on the back so hard that Percy almost goes flying. Wipes a tear from his cheek and says, use the shield well. I feel like we're like almost getting to see like General Tyson. Like there's
Yes,
it's like peeking out just a little bit, you know? And then he says it will save your life someday. And Percy feels that like, whoa. It feels almost like when he saw the Fates cut the yarn. Like it almost feels like a prophecy. And he wonders if Tyson's Cyclops eye can see into the future, which I think is like an interesting moment.
It is an interesting moment. I also just wanted to be like, hey, Percy, my man, Tyson has already saved you. The shield had already saved you in the chariot race. Like, totally. Yeah, it's like, yes, it is going to save your life. Having a shield, you know, made by someone who's already saved your life multiple times. Like
a billion times in this book.
Like, I love the idea of exploring, especially with all the stuff with eyes, like we've really been connecting that. Like, I love the idea of exploring, like, and especially Tyson, it feels very, like, he's very intuitive, you know, like,
yes,
he's very connected. I like the idea of exploring that, and at the same time, I'm like, Percy.
It's, like, obvious.
It's a little, like...
Yeah, okay. As long as you remember that it's there, and you remember what it does, you'll be fine.
It's gonna save your life.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So then Tyson and Rainbow are just tight. They're just like forever
best
bonded.
friends forever.
Yep, BFFs. And so Tyson whistles and Rainbow, the hippocampus, bursts out of the waves and they ride off together to the realm of Poseidon. And this is such it's just such a chapter of like, and Grover hung out for a couple months until he's going to go off on his quest. And now we're sending Tyson off to the realm. And, you know, everyone's just really getting their moments. Yeah. And then Percy opens the shield again. And this time, because he's not in the middle of a chariot race, he gets to take a look at it more closely. Yeah. And it is so cool. I do want to, share what's on the shield because I think it's really interesting. So it's hammered directly into the bronze, which is so impressive and beautiful sounding. We have pictures in ancient Greek style that are scenes from the adventures this summer. There is Annabeth slaying the Lystragonian dodgeball player, Percy fighting the bronze bulls on Half-Blood Hill, which is really funny because it's not like a time where he's very successful, actually.
I know.
Tyson riding Rainbow toward the Princess Andromeda. So, like, we're going to note there's 2 ships on this shield, and one of them is the Princess Andromeda, which I think is kind of interesting, you know, that it's on his shield. Yeah. The CSS Birmingham blasting its cannons at Charybdis, and a picture of Tyson battling the Hydra as he held aloft a box of monster donuts. So that's really fun.
Yeah.
And that's all on this shield.
I know.
It's beautiful.
It's really incredible. I was just like picturing in my head, and I was like, I'd love to own like a replica.
Absolutely.
Of that, you know,
I feel like that would be so cool.
Yeah. But I also thought it was funny, and I kind of secretly loved that Tyson gave himself 2 features. He gave Annabeth 1 and Percy 1, and he gave himself 2 features. He's like, I'm going to give myself me and Rainbow, my best friend, and also me and the Hydra.
Yep, totally. Well, you have to have Rainbow.
Yes, Rainbow is a must.
Rainbow is a must. I mean, yeah, Tyson, you know, the artist is putting himself into the art. We love to see it. And then Percy's feeling sad because he knows that Tyson's going to have a great time, but that he would also really miss him. And then he goes through all the, like, nice things about him, like how he's fascinated with horses, and he could fix chariots or crumple metal with his bare hands, or tie bad guys into knots, which is so funny because, like, he never does that, but, like, yeah, he could do that. Yeah. And even missing him snoring like an earthquake in the bunk all night. And that is... It's just, again, it's like Hearts. This is just the Hearts, Wholesome, Sweet chapter, honestly, all over. But then we finally get the thing. So we finally get the, you know, the thing before the thing, right? Like, we finally start to get the ominous pieces happening. Yes. And Annabeth and Grover are standing at the top of the dune, and Percy's letting them know that Tyson had to leave, and Annabeth knows because Chiron told him, Chiron told them, which means that either Poseidon let Chiron know or Tyson let Chiron know before letting Percy know. I'm not sure. And then Grover's shuddering at the Cyclopes forges because the cafeteria food there is terrible and they don't have any enchiladas at all. And then they go for dinner. And it is a sweet moment where they're walking back toward the dining pavilion together, just the three of them, like old times. Like, this is our first time seeing the three of them as a unit since the Lightning Thief. But now we're going to enter the thing. The thing we've been waiting for 19 chapters.
Yes, we are. And I love that it comes right after just the three of us, just like old times.
And
it's
then
perfect.
just like old times.
Everything
a storm
changes.
Is raging. That's how you know.
Literally. There's always a storm. There's always a storm. Which is, it's interesting to think about in terms of like, because Talia comes back and there's a storm. Like, is it Zeus?
I know. I was wondering about this.
I don't know. Like, what the storm, or is it like maybe like Talia? I don't know. Anyways,
I was wondering about this too. I don't know what it represents, but
yeah, I was curious about that. Meaningful. But yes, a storm is raging that night, but because of the fleece, it is parted around Camp Half-Blood, so it's not like...
Unlike at the beginning of the book, because that was a really big deal.
Yes, but there's lightning, and the waves are pounding the shore. It's like an incredibly intense storm. And Percy has a couple of dreams. We get our last Kronos dream of this book, and he hears Kronos say to him, Polyphemus sits blindly in his cave, young hero, believing he has won a great victory. Are you any less deluded? So Kronos is in his like, ha 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 ha, ha, I have done it successfully. And then the dream changes, and Percy's following Tyson to the bottom of the sea, into the court of Poseidon. He sees his father sat on this throne of coral in his like khaki shorts, sun-bleached t-shirt, and Percy and Poseidon like make intense eye contact in this dream, and Poseidon says 2 words, brace yourself. So the same words from the letter.
Yep, again.
So
Thanks
he's
for that.
Just basically being like, one more time for good measure.
Yep.
And Percy wakes up with a start to Grover banging on his door. Grover doesn't even like wait to hear for Percy to say come in.
Well, just real quick, I just sort of got like taken back to Montauk. So like there's a storm and Grover's banging on the door. I just got this like really big flashback
totally.
To that.
Yes. Well, in an interesting how a couple episodes ago I was talking about how like this book is like symmetrical. It's almost like then these 2 first books are kind of like closing a symmetrical loop with each other in an interesting way.
Really interesting.
Yeah. No, that's true. Grover flies in, and he's like not really able to get a full sentence out. He's just like saying words. He's just saying Percy, and he says Annabeth on the hill, and immediately Percy's like, something has happened to Annabeth. Right. So because Annabeth was on guard duty that night protecting the fleece. Because I guess they still haven't gotten their mail order dragon in.
I guess not. No one's answered the ad yet.
Yeah.
Or they're still doing interviews. I don't know.
Yeah, right. They've got a couple candidates, a couple of resumes that, that they're reviewing. Waiting to hear back from references.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so Percy like immediately flies into action, getting dressed. I love this description that his blood was like ice water in his veins, like in terms of the like the fear, the panic, the like because he just thinks that something has happened to Annabeth. Because Grover, again, not explaining himself, he just says she's lying there, just lying there.
Right.
We know who he's actually talking about, but Percy this whole time is like, Annabeth.
It sure sounds like Annabeth in this moment. Yeah.
It does. So Percy is now racing across the central yard. Grover's behind him, and word is spreading throughout camp because camp is stirring, and campers are already making their way towards the hill with satyrs and night nymphs as well. So it's like everyone is out, and Chiron is galloping behind them, and all Chiron asks Grover is it true? Grover just nods. Percy's finally trying to ask what's going on. The thing we were like begging him to do in book 1 is just like ask somebody. He's trying to, but all Chiron does is grab him by the arm, put him on his back, which we know like Chiron's not a lover of just like giving people rides on his back. Yeah,
like he did it to get them back from Florida and stuff.
Yes, but he's not, like, oh, just hitch a ride on my back.
This is a serious moment.
Yes, yes. And they thunder up Half-Blood Hill. There's already a small crowd there. Percy's expecting to see, like, Fleece gone, Annabeth attacked, but the Fleece is still there, and the storm had broken, and the sky was blood red. So, like, the water was red with the sunset. The sky is now blood red. And Chiron says, "Curse the Titan Lord, he's tricked us again, given himself another chance to control the prophecy." And when Percy asks what he means, Chiron replies that the Fleece did its work too well, our chapter title, essentially. And Percy sees at the base of the tree a girl lying unconscious, and then another girl in Greek armor kneeling next to her. And I love, from, like, the writing perspective, that we again are not differentiated between who is Annabeth and who is not. Like, for the suspense of it all, I think that's so great. And Chiron again says that it healed the tree, like the Fleece healed the tree, and the poison was not the only thing that it purged. And this is when Percy finally processes that it's not Annabeth lying on the ground. She's the girl in Greek armor kneeling next to the unconscious girl. Annabeth also can't really get a complete sentence out, which
they are also shocked.
It makes complete sense. Like, they've grieved her for like 5
she was
years.
Dead. This is like someone coming back from the dead. Like, that's the emotional impact it's having right now.
Yes. Yeah. Annabeth's eyes are streaming with tears. Percy still doesn't understand because no one's communicated anything to him, and he's too freaked out. Like, he's all amped because he came with, like, Annabeth is in danger.
Totally. Yeah. And
so,
like, fight someone or something, and, like, there's nothing to fight.
Yes. So he's not fully processing, but he goes towards the unconscious girl to try to help. Chiron tells him to wait. He doesn't listen. He kneels by her side, and we get the description of what she looks like. So she has short black hair and freckles across her nose. She's like a long distance runner, lithe and strong, and is wearing clothes that are somewhere between punk and goth. A black t-shirt, black tattered jeans, and a leather jacket with buttons from a bunch of bands that Percy had never heard of. And Percy's like, she wasn't a camper. I don't recognize her from any of the cabins, but he has this strange feeling that he'd seen her before. And Grover finally makes it up that he's, like, panting from his arms. And he's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's true. And no one else is, like, coming close to her at all. And Percy puts his hand on her forehead and feels that her skin is cold, but his fingertips tingled as if they were burning. And he's like, he's now in, like, ER mode. He's like, nectar and ambrosia, stat.
But do you think that feeling is partly from, like, the electricity that Talia has inside?
I think so. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
So he's in, like, we have to help this girl. He's not understanding why everyone else is, like, scared and frozen and just, like, stunned. And so he's taking her by the shoulders, lifting her into sitting position, resting her head on his shoulders, and he's like, come on, like, what's wrong with you? We need to get her to the big house. Like he's
nectar,
very much
ambrosia,
like,
stat, let's go.
What did I said stat. What does stat mean? Let's go, let's move.
Yeah.
But no one moves, not even Chiron moves. And the girl takes a shaky breath, and she coughs and opens her eyes, and we see startlingly blue, electric blue eyes.
Electric blue.
And she looks at Percy, about to be like, who are you? And Percy's like, I'm Percy, you're safe now. And she says, strangest dream, dying. And he's like, no, like, you're okay. And he asks her name, but that's when the puzzle pieces connect. And that's when he realizes, before she replied, and he understands what the whole Golden Fleece quest had been about, why the tree was even poisoned in the first place, everything that had happened over the course of this book, that Kronos had done it to bring another chess piece into play, another chance to control the prophecy, like Chiron said. And he's like, even Chiron, Annabeth, and Grover, who should have been celebrating this moment, like, their dear friend has returned, they're too shocked, thinking about what it might mean for the future. And he says, I was holding someone who's destined to be my best friend or possibly my worst enemy. And the book ends with, I am Talia, the girl said, daughter of Zeus.
The end.
Let's go.
I wrote, of course, because, like, you can't introduce yourself without saying who your godly parentage is.
Of course.
Of course. Yeah, I did feel we'll get into big recaps for sure.
Yeah.
But just on this, I have two thoughts on this last part. One is I thought it was interesting that Percy just sort of like dives in to like hold her up into a sitting position and resting her head. Like it was very almost intimate. This like that he just kind of went for it, even though everyone else is sort of stunned. And I thought, like, I know he's in action mode, but it was just, I don't know what you thought. I just curious what you thought about that impulse.
It was such a like caretaker impulse, which I feel like, you know, we don't necessarily like, or up to this point, we haven't necessarily seen as much for like from Percy towards like strangers, you know, or like people that he doesn't know. But I think like him, I feel like I kind of wondered like if he could kind of feel some innate connection, like some part of his brain obviously like recognized who she was before the rest of him got online to like remember. But I wondered if maybe there was some sort of like innate big three connection that like, you know, he was feeling, or because he is such an action taker, if in a moment where no one else is taking any action, if that kind of like amped up his like, if no one else is going to do anything, like I have to get in there because literally everyone else is standing still in stunned
everyone
silence.
else is frozen. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely was sort of feeling that second one. I like the idea that maybe there is like back to his intuition, you know, there's like this intuitiveness around like she's a daughter of the big three. But I mean, it certainly makes for a very compelling and intense, you know, ending image where like he's like literally holding her up as she's just been like rebirthed out of the tree. Yeah. And then she's like, I'm Talia, daughter of Zeus. Like, that was, I think this was such a great way to end book 2.
Oh,
like, something you're not expecting, something that truly feels like it changes everything. I think, and I'm curious what like other authors would say, but I would guess that like book 2 might be like one of the hardest books to write in a series, because especially if you've been successful, like there's pressure, but also, you know, how do you stay in the world but grow the world and keep people engaged and also make it feel like new and different things are happening. And this, I think, is just such a genius thing to have happen so early on in the series.
Yes, I completely agree. It in like the music world, people often say that the sophomore album or the second album is the hardest because especially like your first album was a success, like you're saying, there are really high expectations and people want the same, but they want different and new. So it can't be too similar, but it also can't be too different. And it's like walking this incredibly thin line. It's also, I think, like it's trust building. So it's like, okay, you got people in with number one, like whether it's a book or an album, but then you have to be like, okay, you can now trust me with the second one to then buy into a whole series or like stay with me for my like artistic career, you know, like you're asking people to like trust in your larger vision and have a desire to stay tuned. And so it feels like a very, very hard thing to do, and I do think that Rick Riordan did a really great job with this book. Like it's such a good second book, and the ending is, I think I would probably rank this. I can't remember which episode where I was like, how would you rank like the most cliffhanger endings?
Right, that's true.
First is obviously Mark of Athena. You know, Percy and Annabeth fall into Tartarus. That's the first like most intense cliffhanger ending. But I think this might be number 2.
That's really interesting. I think you might be right.
Like in terms of how much like it's just like whoa. And always leaves me immediately being like, I have to start reading the next book immediately.
I agree.
I cannot wait.
Yeah. I think you're probably going to end up, I think that's probably going to be true, that this is the second most of the 2 we're kind of just talking about. Yeah. Heroes of Olympus and the Olympians. Yeah. Series. I think, okay, so big overarching thoughts. I was just thinking that it's interesting to have Percy struggle the most in a book that also has him in the water the most. I think that's a cool contrast.
Totally. It's like really
that's
such a great point. Yeah.
I think because you were saying like what makes it different, what makes it the same. And it's like this one happens mostly on the water,
Yeah.
which is a very interesting change from like we were pretty landlocked for most of The Lightning Thief, and yet it's like the book where Percy has the most internal and external struggles, and he's not even like officially on the quest in this book, even though it's like on the water, you know. So I think that's really interesting. I think starting to unpack what makes a monster is interesting. That's like different from the first book. I love that we have Tyson now in the mix. Yeah. I love that Grover has had a big victory, like as we're kind of like tracking his, you know, like you said, his big moments are just sort of embedded in the rest of the story, but he's truly having his own epic journey along these 5 books. So exciting that Talia's in the mix. Going to be so much fun next book. I'm like so gosh. I don't know. I think Titan's Curse might be like high on my favorite books. Totally. I particularly like Titan's Curse. So like I'm really, really excited. Yes. For the next book. And then I think our overarching theme, because you've been kind of the one to like name them in each book.
I think so far
is like there's no I in team. I think that's kind of where we start out, and that'll be very interesting to carry, I think, into the next book.
Yes.
And to see like what Titan's Curse offers as a new subject matter, new theme, new characters. The packing in of big 3 kids in Titan's Curse is actually bananas.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, you're just like, we went from 1
we times 2 it
to like, we go from 1 to 2 to 4 really, really quickly.
Yes. And then back down to 3 pretty quick after that.
And then back down to 2 really quickly, I would say.
True. By the end of the book. Yeah.
Like, yeah. So next book is going to move us through so much big... I think we'll be having a lot of big 3 conversations in Titan's Curse.
Yeah, I agree. I think the last thing I'll say about like this ending chapter was I found the wording back to like our conversations about like what state does Talia exist in when she's in the tree? Like, is she dead? Is she like a nymph? Like, what's happening? And I found it really interesting, the wording from Chiron of poison was not the only thing that it purged, that like Talia was purged from the tree. And I don't really, that didn't give me a better sense of like where did Talia exist for this period of time. Right. But I just found it interesting that it's like that Talia was, it sounds to me like Talia was also a foreign body inside of this tree, and this is the same way that the poison was. I think I guess it kind of rules out the nymph theory. Potentially. I don't know how, there might just, nymphs have more agency. It might be a little more symbiotic. I've never heard, because Talia coming back to this form of life does feel like a positive thing overall, and it was very interesting. I did note the use of the word purge. I've never heard that be a positive before, so that was quite interesting. She also was like saying she was dreaming. I don't remember if we get more description of like her memories of the tree, but she's dreaming that she was dying, so it kind of feels like she wasn't at all mentally present while she was in the tree. Like the last memory was she was about to die, because that's when Zeus turned her, like put her into the pine tree. Yeah. So I wonder if maybe if it's similar to, and forgive me if we have discussed this theory before, but in the way that Hades in book 1 captures Sally Jackson in like the moment before she dies, and she's kind of in stasis, like essentially.
She doesn't remember being in the world, I don't think. I wonder if Zeus kind of did the same thing for Talia, but then the only thing is but she's very tied to the tree, and it's the poison. Where is she? It's the fleece. Where is she? That means that the fleece allows her to return from the tree, because she does still feel tied to the tree. Yes, in a way Sally's that Sally, just in like a gold orb. Yes, right. And the difference might be like, Hades able to do that versus like Zeus doesn't have the power over the underworld to like, I don't know, maybe do it in the same way. But I wonder if it's almost like being in stasis or something like that. Yeah, it has to be something like that. Yeah, it's some kind of limbo. It definitely is some kind of limbo, but yeah, the question of like physically and mentally, like where is she existing, I think is still unanswered. I think it's still unanswered. One other thing I remembered, I was thinking earlier, that's like a theory about Kronos, because we were like, who's causing the storm? So it could be around Zeus and Talia coming back. It certainly feels a little bit like a foreshadowing with lightning and then a daughter of Zeus. But I was thinking about the red sky, and I do want to sort of pay attention if there's any more like red being associated with Kronos, because I think that would be interesting. And while Kronos is not associated, as far as I know, with specific storms, he is associated with metal, and he is the father of Zeus. And so I wonder if in some way he has the power to like bring lightning down, or just like affect the atmosphere or something like that.
I wonder if it's actually more about like the ability to upset, like you're referencing back to the Montauk intense storm, where it's like the crazy storm is happening and Percy is seeing the horse and the eagle like fighting each other. And then like Kronos is like, I'm making you upset. I wonder if it's maybe more so like Kronos' like ability to like emotionally agitate,
that's interesting,
or something.
And then that shows up in like a storm.
Yeah, in Zeus doing a storm. I don't know.
That could be. I was just trying to figure out if there's any way in which Kronos is involved in the red sky or the thunderstorm or not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if one of the Titans I'm remembering in the Last Olympian like a Titan that's associated with red, but I could be wrong. Like Hyperion or somebody. Maybe no, it's Hyperion gold. Somebody's gold. I don't know. I'm remembering something about red, but I don't remember. Y'all can let us know in the comments, everybody who knows all the facts. But yeah, that is my thoughts. I think the cliffhanger and just the culmination of the official and unofficial questing. There's also so much heart in this chapter, which is quite nice, and maybe a little healing for us, because at the beginning it is so tense and frustrating.
My gosh,
a lot of the time, and we've seen, certain amount of growth in our characters, which is nice to see. And I guess, one last thought is like, as I'm thinking about Annabeth not being able to get words out, I was just like Annabeth is 7 right now. Like mentally, Annabeth is like back to the, I'm sure, just back to that like 7-year-old girl, self, as she's looking at Talia in the age that she remembers Talia, which is like a dynamic that is going to be really interesting to explore, because Talia like should be older than Percy and Annabeth, but isn't.
So she's
So that's kind of like the snap. I imagine we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, totally.
Probably. We're probably going to make some Marvel references next season.
Yes.
So you can look forward to that.
Well, and like for Chiron's perspective, I was just thinking that like this might be the first of any half-blood he's like known or even remotely trained who has like truly come back from the dead.
That's
in
a good
that
point.
way. You know, like not a like, oh, we brought back from the brink. They just need a lot of healing, but truly like he grieved and, thought would never see again.
That's really interesting for Chiron, for sure. Yeah.
So.
Well, that leads us to the end of Sea of Monsters, Book 2. We did it.
How were we
I don't know. I literally was like, how are we finishing the book today?
I know.
So this is very exciting.
Yeah.
And I just know both of us are thrilled and absolutely cannot wait to dive in next time when we officially start Book 3 of Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Titan's Curse.
Woo!
Woo! Bye.
Bye.